to the Hickory Academy Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Joshua Page, and today I'm very excited. It's our first video podcast, and we have a special guest in the house. Our first guest, Mr. Ethan Gilley. He is a financial planner, and we brought him on because he's not just a financial planner, he's a great student here at the Academy, and he's always got great ideas to share about just self-development and being the best on the mat, off the mat. He's actually in the top 1% in his firm in planning, which I thought was super impressive. So I thought we'd bring him in and ask him a couple questions. Ethan, I'm glad you're here, sir.
Yeah, glad to be here.
I wanted to ask you first, just tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I do comprehensive, holistic planning is the way I describe it. So this, in the simplest form, I use my profession as, I'm kind of like a general contractor. So I know a lot about plumbing, electrical, all these things, but I'm not a plumber. So I'm going to make sure all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. So in my case, that could be estate planning, tax strategizing, risk mitigation, insurance needs, things like that. But I'm not an attorney, so I work with estate attorneys, with CPAs, tax professionals, to make sure clients' whole picture goes together and that their finances correlate or run hand in hand with their goals they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're kind of like a big picture guy as far as bringing everything together, helping people plan for their future, which is one of those things that everybody needs to do, but we kind of put it off. So this is one of those things where you really help people out and thinking about tomorrow and the next day and 20 years from now instead of just today, which is kind of think the same on the mat, right? You get caught up with how you're doing right now. You forget about what you need to be doing to get ready for how you're going to be in 20 years or 10 years on the mat. What kind of qualifications, education did you go through to do what you're doing?
So I have a Series 7 and 66 license, which is the top licensing for our industry. So I say financial advisor can be a broad term, but it depends on which license each advisor has or what firm they're with or licensed through. And everybody has to be licensed through a firm. But then I hold a certified financial planner certification, and then I've got a chartered financial consultant designation and a accredited asset management designation as well. So designations are becoming more prevalent in our field. They're not a requirement, but they help you really nail down and distinguish yourself and specialize and have advanced knowledge and training in what we're doing.
Yeah, so a lot of training and certification, all that stuff kind of goes into what you do, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
What part of what you do brings you the most joy?
I would say having purpose. I feel like with any profession, anything you do, a lot of people, unfortunately, I feel like lack purpose. I feel like maybe they have a self-motivation to make money or to achieve something, but I feel like that's always a byproduct of what is your purpose. And I feel like my purpose is to help people. I feel like that's everybody's purpose. I feel like God put us on this earth to serve and to contribute to the world, but also contribute to others. And as a byproduct, we'll be blessed by that. So that's the way I look at it. And I just feel like if I do the right thing and try to help people, that's my purpose. Help them achieve through finances or any type of even life coaching type deal, that it's, it'll come back to me in a positive light too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll butcher the quote, but I think it's Zig Ziglar that said you can have anything you want in this world if you help somebody else get what they need or what they want.
Yes.
Very true. It's a great way to be, especially in your field, because a lot of times people think you're just about X's and O's or money or, but having a purpose-driven life definitely makes a difference in helping people, find that purpose too.
Well, I say like money, I always tell people money's just a tool. So, it's not really a goal to grow your money or to do this, but, how do we correlate your money with what's most important to you, whether that's spending time with family, your health, traveling, building that dream home, that's what's important, and that's what you really need to nail down and plan for. So you're exactly right. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you do your job all by yourself, or do you have to have help?
I definitely have to have help. So I've got two branch office administrators. They also have paraplanner designations as well, but what they mainly do is I laugh. They basically run the day-to-day operations at my office, from paperwork to my scheduling to everything, and I couldn't do it without them. Plus I've got a lot of support from my firm and back office as well, so it literally takes a team. I couldn't do it by myself, that's for sure.
And it's kind of a leading question, I think, because no successful professional that I know or no successful black belt that I've met has done that by themselves. There's always a support staff, always people to help out. and that make that happen. You know, behind every successful person, there's a whole team of people, you know, that are just as important. And I think for me personally, even more so. Like if they don't contribute and do, you know, the things that I can't do, then I can't do the things that I'm able to do. So that asks the question: how do you guide or how do you support your staff, the people that are, you know, on your team?
The biggest thing I've always tried to adhere by is just lead by example. So I think Michael Jordan had a quote one time: "I don't ask anybody to do anything I wouldn't do myself." And when you get to a stage where you're efficient enough, and I feel like that's part of efficiency, I lead by example, but I also delegate and empower my team members and my staff. So if I ask them to do something and play their part in something important, then I put that trust in them. I don't try to micromanage it. I have confidence in them that they'll do it and do it well. And you know, and specifically in the case of my staff, they're great. I know, you know, we all work like a well-oiled machine, and everybody knows their part, plays their part, and we celebrate together too. So we celebrate each other's successes, but we truly work as a whole team.
And I got a chance to see a few people that are on your staff, and I came by your office to visit, and really impressed. Some great leaders there, and you can tell they have the freedom to make their own decisions and be autonomous, and that makes a difference, I think, when you've got leaders on the mat or in the office or wherever it is.
Yes.
What's your biggest challenge as far as being a leader?
Well, I'll start this out by saying this has nothing to do with my personal staff, but as a leader in general, whether that be in my profession or anywhere in life, at the gym, anywhere, I would say is the biggest challenge is trying to talk people into helping themselves, for lack of a better description.
Absolutely.
So it's, you know, I feel like I have this blessing and this curse of I see potential in others that sometimes they don't even see in themselves, and I just feel like, oh, you know, this person could be great, you know, and I'm bad to push or to, you know, do that, and not everybody wants to elevate or do that, and so, you know, I feel like everybody's unique and they've got special qualities, and I try to see the best in everybody, but it's frustrating sometimes when people don't want to help themselves or grow or push themselves. Right,
it's very difficult when you see what you know somebody can become, but they don't want to put in that, you know, whatever it requires to do that. And that process sometimes can, and you know, from training on the mat, we see people come in that have raw talent, they're just naturally gifted, but they don't want to, you know, put in that work to refine, you know, those talents to become, you know, that next level themselves.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. What's helped you the most to grow as a leader?
I would say just developing myself. So I mean, I do. You've heard the quote, "You are your biggest asset." So I feel like I can't develop others or be a leader if I don't develop myself and self-reflect and look what I need to work on and continuously get better myself. So that's the biggest thing. I'm just, one of my business coaches, Dr. Jason Selk, who's a sports and business psychologist, he calls it being relentlessly obsessed with improvement. Yeah, it's just constantly trying to get better myself so that I can help others get better.
Right. Yeah, that's perfect. For you, and we always ask, I think it's important, right? Anybody that I've met that's been successful, or anybody that is doing something, you know, I think is worthwhile, usually has some kind of routine that they go through every day that isn't easy, but it helps them become successful. It sets the foundation for their day. So, what's your morning routine for success?
Well, I'll make this short. I say I'm very routine. I get accused sometimes of being too regimented, and I think you know this. I came from a natural bodybuilding background before I got into martial arts, and I still train consistently and strict diet and everything else. But I learned that success from a young age, from 13 years of bodybuilding. It's just like if you don't get your meals in, if you don't train, I mean, you're not going to get to where you want to be. And it's day in, day out. You know, you can't just miss a meal here or there. It will have a direct negative impact. So I think just having a routine and sticking to it, the consistency of having a routine is big. I would say adjust it. It needs to be adjusted just like a financial plan or anything else as life changes and things change. But right now, one of my morning routine, I says I get up and drink water. First thing I do, drink water. I try to do some sit-ups for some sidekick protection because I get kicked in here a lot. So, and then I've been trying to the last year. What I've been doing is sitting in the sauna for about 45 minutes, trying to jump in some cold water. So I did buy an ice barrel last year and been doing some of that. And then I'll shower off and get ready to head to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of gets you ready for the day ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I always think like that first hour, of the day is kind of like, for us, like what do I need to do for me to get me, my mind right, my body right, to kind of get that first victory of the day.
Yes.
We talk about with our students a lot. If your morning routine is just get up and make your bed, at least you have that one victory, right?
Yes.
It kind of puts you in the frame of mind to, I've got to win and then stack on this and keep collecting those wins.
Yes.
And I think we talked about this a lot too, pretty much universally. If you look at any kind of business consultant or life coach or influencer or whatever it is, they always talk about getting small wins, small victories, and kind of building off those as we go through the day. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's perfect. The water's too cold for me. I don't know if I can do that. Maybe the sauna. But
that's the toughest part.
Yeah. What's one thing you think everyone should know in terms of being a leader, or one quote, or if you could just give one person one piece of advice about being a leader, what would it be?
I would say the main thing is listen to people who are more successful than you. So I always say there's a lot of noise and there's going to be a lot of people in your life that try to tell you what you need to be doing. And just be conscious of, I guess, for lack of a better term, the qualifications of that person that's telling you to do that. I use as an example, if you're telling me that I'm doing something wrong or criticizing me or I need to be doing something in the martial arts realm, I'm going to take that to heart. I'm going to listen. Drop the ego, drop the pride. Like, that's how you learn.
Right.
Now, if somebody has never taken martial arts, is trying to tell me as an example what I need to be doing with my kicks, I'm going to be like, well. So I just say listen to people that are where you're at in life, or are doing well, or progressing in somewhere that you're trying to achieve, something that you're trying to achieve, and they're already successful in that realm. And just make sure you listen to those people and don't listen to the people that aren't where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the great. You don't want to get financial advice from somebody that's house is in foreclosure. They're pulling their car away as you come up to their office, right?
Exactly.
And there's so much kind of noise online, and everybody has the access to do some things. I actually was getting ready to sign up for it. Was a business seminar talking about growing your business, marketing, things like that. And I almost signed up and I was like, wait a minute, maybe I should look and see, okay, here's the speaker's name. Let's go and look and make sure, is this a person that's in business, or they've never been in business, or what are their qualifications? And I was glad I did, because you have to be really careful who you let influence you and make sure it is the right person. Find somebody that you want to be or be like, and follow their path. Cut out so many roadblocks and mistakes, because I can speak as a business owner now for 20 years. I can kind of give some advice here and there because I've already made the mistakes.
Yeah.
So most of those successful people, I'm sure you have learned this too, that we learn the hard way sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. You can make some really good shortcuts by listening to the advice of somebody a little bit farther along than you.
Absolutely.
We talk about for leadership, readers are leaders, and I know you read quite a bit. And so, what is the best book recommendation you can give someone that is trying to develop themselves or become a better leader, or just show up more in their own personal lives? What's the best book recommendation you got?
This one's tough because I look at a lot of good content and I read. Part of sitting in the sauna is I'll read something. I read something that's positive, learning, whether that be for financial planning or martial arts, listen to a podcast, something self-development. But I'd say the one book that I think is really good is Atomic Habits. And you used the word stacking earlier, stacking wins, but they call it habit stacking is one of the things in that book. But I just think having habits and being consistent at those habits, and it doesn't mean, again, you can't change them over time and modify them, but you don't know if something's working or not unless you consistently do it for a while. And then you figure out what the outcome is. If you need to adjust it, you adjust it. But I use the diet exercise analogy all the time. I can write you the most elaborate diet and exercise routine. If you don't follow it and you don't follow it consistently, it's no good.
Right.
And then that means we may need to follow a diet for 3 or 4 weeks and see how your body responds and make adjustments to it. So I think Atomic Habits is the biggest thing, because what's that quote? Show me a man's habits, and I'll show you his future.
Yeah, absolutely. That's if you're writing any of this down, that's the part to write down right there. Absolutely. And Atomic Habits, such a great book.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones that I really enjoyed reading and going back and kind of looking at what are the highlight.
Yeah.
He's a great follow on Instagram too, because he posts quotes from the book all the time. It kind of reminds you.
You've been reposting them lately, and I love them because
Absolutely.
they're just every one of them's gold. I mean, you just really, if you're not following him online, James Clear, Atomic Habits, that's probably one of the best books out there.
Yeah, one of the things I love about what he's talking about with starting a habit small was, if you've never been to the gym, we see it a lot, and especially, if you're at the gym where you're lifting weights and working out, you'll see people come in and they've never worked out before, but they do every machine, every exercise, 100 miles an hour, and in 2-3 weeks, you're either your body's broken or you're just burnt out.
Yeah.
But one of his piece of advice was just drive to the gym, get to the parking lot, and then turn around and go back home, and do that for a couple of days, and then walk in, walk back out. Do one machine, come back out. So, by the way, when I see people that are in the gym for the first time and they're there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, absolutely no judgment at all. I think that's great. Just getting through the door and getting over that hump, right? Getting to your first martial arts class, and maybe you just watch or whatever it is, just getting there at the space. Man, that's the first huge obstacle, and then after that, it kind of gets easier and easier.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I call these universal truths. I like to study successful people, and that's who I listen to and try to learn from, like we talked about earlier. But I call them universal truths, from Marcus Aurelius to James Clear. I'm like, it's funny how these successful people over time that don't even live together on the planet at the same time have these universal truths. We're like, oh, I've heard that 4 or 5 times from 4 or 5 different successful people. It must be pretty true.
Yeah.
Or key to success. And it's funny because my business coach, Dr. Selk, and Tom Bartow talk about this. They talk about setting goals too high. So, I'm going to get in here and train martial arts 6 times a week. Well, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And Dr. Self talks about self-confidence being the #1 variable in human performance. And if you set the bar too high and then you fail, how do you think that's going to make you feel?
Right.
So like you said, even if you're like, I'm going to get in here 1 day a week, for 45 minutes, just start with that. And then if you can stack those wins, feel good about it over some time, and say, all right, I'm going to add another training day in a week, and then start building it up. But it's exactly what you said. It's just, if you can get to the gym for 10 minutes, just do that. I mean, just start with that. Don't try to start out just 6 days a week.
Absolutely.
2 hours a day.
It won't last long, right?
Yeah.
It'll burn bright for a minute, but it won't last long.
Exactly.
Yeah, your goals are your goals, whatever they are. And sometimes the death is the comparison is the death of success.
Absolutely.
I'll get it on the 3rd time, but man, that's amazing. A lot of good stuff in here. If our young listeners are listening to this, hopefully you wrote some of this down, you go back and write some of this down. Just some really great advice in there for anybody, not just as far as financial planning or martial arts, but just for life in general. We talked about these things being universal across all these centuries and people, and the advice is universal. It doesn't just apply to your planning for the future or being on the mat. That's for every part of your life. I think that's career, that's relationships, that's personal development. Everything. You can apply these concepts and be successful or become a better leader. So how can people keep up with you or find you or get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
So all my financial planning stuff's online. So Ethan Gilley, just Google Ethan Gilley and it'll pop up. Ethan Gilley over Jones. I've got a website. I've got Facebook, LinkedIn. So all that stuff is on there. I've got a personal Facebook too, but I'm on there as well. And then I'm on LinkedIn, but don't use it as much professionally right now. But just if you just Google my name, all the social medias and stuff as far as financial planning pulls up. So
Awesome. Well, hopefully some people check you out and get some more great advice from you. And I definitely look forward to seeing you on the mat again, sir. Thank you so much. Our first video interview, audio podcast with a guest. I'm super excited. The bar is high now. Yeah. So the next person that comes on is going to have to bring it. So thank you, sir. And I'll see you on the mat.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.